For this problem, you're to simplify the complex rational expression by the method of your choice. Now we have the complex expression x plus 4 minus 3 over x, all of that all over x plus 5 minus 7 over x. Now there are two main ways you could do this. The first way, well, there's no first or second, so one way is that you can multiply the top and bottom by the the LCD, the least common denominator, of all of the fractions. So in this case, we have what? The two denominators are just x and x. So the LCD in this case would be x. So one way you could do this is you multiply the top and bottom by x. So we would have x plus 4 minus 3 over x, all of that all times x, and then the x plus 5 minus 7 over x, all of that times x. Now we're not changing the expression because we're multiplying top and bottom by the same thing, so that's the same thing as multiplying by 1. So what we'd end up getting is, well, let's see, distribute that x, so we'd have x times x, so x squared, then x times 4, so plus 4x, and then x times 3 over x, the x's cancel, so you just have minus 3 all over, and then do the same thing in the denominator, we'd have x squared plus 5x minus 7. Now what you would do next is see, can you factor the numerator or denominator? Now in this case, we can't really factor these, the numerator and denominator, because if it did factor, we'd find two numbers whose product is negative 3 and whose sum is 4. Well, the thing is, if that was a plus 3, then that would be possible. But since it's a minus 3, then we'd have to have one positive and one negative, which means that their sum couldn't be 4. And the same thing for the denominator. There's no way we could find two numbers whose product is negative 7 and whose sum is 5. So it doesn't factor. Now, if it did factor, then we'd see, okay, does anything cancel in common in the numerator and denominator? But since, like I said, it doesn't factor, that is our final answer. It cannot be simplified anymore. So that would be one way you could do this. Now, another way you could do this is to first add and subtract the terms in the numerator together, and same thing with the terms in the denominator. Now, just looking at the numerator, to add those terms together, we need to have a common denominator, and the only denominator in the numerator terms is x, so the common denominator would be x. So we'd write the first and second term as fractions over x, which means we multiply top and bottom by x. So we'd have x squared over x plus 4x over x minus 3 over x. And then similarly for the bottom, we would have x squared over x plus 5x over x minus 7 over x. So we can now add and subtract these terms in the numerator and denominator because they have the same denominators. So this would just be x squared plus 4x minus 3 all over x divided by x squared plus 5x minus 7 all over x. Now we have one fraction divided by another fraction, which is the same thing as the numerator times the reciprocal of the denominator. So we'd have x squared plus 4x minus 3 all over x times the reciprocal of the denominator, so that'd be x over x squared plus 5x minus 7. Now multiplying these two expressions together, we first see if they have anything we could cancel in the numerator of one and the denominator of another. So we could cancel these x's. And so we'd have, once again, the x squared plus 4x minus 3 all over the x squared plus 5x minus 7. Now again, normally you would see, okay, does anything factor and cancel? Which in this case, once again, it doesn't. So this would be our final answer.